is a crisis that's growing at an alarming rate. Newly released numbers show that there has been a 22% spike in homelessness just from last year. For decades, the people at Father Joe's Villages have been working tirelessly to help. Every Monday right here on The 4, we are featuring a local nonprofit that's making a difference by working for our community. And today, Deacon Jim Vargas from Father Joe's is joining us to talk about what they're seeing and some of the controversial solutions to try and help all of this. First of all, Deacon Vargas, thank you so much for your time right here on The 4.
Heather, it's a pleasure to be with you.
I'm going to jump right into the numbers that I just shared with our viewers. When you heard those numbers, a 22% increase, and again, that is county-wide, year over year. What went through your mind?
Well, it's very sobering, but not surprising. I mean, we see it day in and day out, especially down in the East Village area. The number of encampments have grown exponentially over the years during the COVID time, basically. So it's been the last 3 years or so. So I'm not surprised that the numbers have been growing. You know, last year's number had grown by 10% from the prior year. And now, as you say, it's 22% additionally. So there's a lot to be done.
We hear this particular issue makes headlines daily, and especially lately. San Diego Mayor Tom Gloria has one solution to all this, which is to ban encampments if there are shelter beds available. Earlier today, we heard from former Mayor Kevin Faulkner and the former police chief, Shelley Zimmerman, who said that doesn't go far enough. We need to make sure that the shelter beds available have what they call a bridge program, meaning mental health services and drug and addiction help services. What do you think is the right approach here in order to make a dent in some of these numbers? Watching them grow exponentially certainly means we have not found any sort of solution.
Well, behavioral health is a big issue, and you point to that. So we know that about 30% of those who are on the streets suffer from some level of behavioral health issues, whether it's substance use disorder or just mental health challenges, right? So most definitely there needs to be a focus there. I mean, then we need, pure and simple, we need more shelter beds. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that a shelter is not what breaks the cycle of homelessness. A home does, and we can talk about that, but we also know that we don't have enough affordable housing. So in the interim, what we need are shelter beds, and we don't have enough shelter beds. I mean, of the 10,300 individuals who are homeless now in the city of in the county of San Diego, excuse me, half of them are on the streets, right? So there's a lot more that needs to get done.
What's your capacity on average?
For us, we're 90 to 95% capacity each and every single day, and that's also the experience of other providers in the area as well. So the shelter beds are utilized. I mean, there's a transient aspect to it, obviously. So those a few shelter beds that turn over on a daily basis, but for the most part, we're at capacity. So we need more shelter beds, and we need varied shelter beds. We also know from experience and from having conversations with those on the streets that they don't necessarily, many don't want congregate setting. So while we have a lot of the shelter beds are congregate beds, we also need to focus on non-congregate settings as well. We know that individuals who suffer from PTSD or are victims of the domestic violence or have anxiety disorder can't be in a congregate setting, so we need some more congregate beds. We also know those numbers to which you refer, by the way, show that there's an increase in the number of seniors who are falling onto the streets. Seniors have special needs, right? So if there's a bunk bed type of situation, we know they can't be in the top bunk.
Sure.
So we need to provide the lower bunk. We also know that they have health issues as well, especially if they've been chronically on the streets. So we need to be able to have those resources available. So the point here is that we really need to target our efforts to be most effective.
When you hear that, you know, there's a number of different organizations, but what are you specifically doing at Father Joe's to try and make a difference and to help some of these individuals?
Well, again, it's meeting people where they are. So it's making sure that we assess their situations so we can apply the right resources so we can be most effective with the dollars that we have. And the dollars are limited, right? So as an example, sober living. We find that individuals, especially if they've been within substance use disorder for a period of time and have kicked that habit and now want a sober living type of an environment because they don't want to be tempted. And so we're providing more sober living space so that we have individuals who can focus on their health needs, focus on employment, and then lift themselves up and move forward. So that's just one example, right? Sober living. We also are focusing on their women on the streets. We know, by the way, the latest point in time count, not only are there more seniors falling onto the streets, there are more women falling onto the streets. It's difficult enough to be homeless, more difficult if you're a woman, and then we have some women who are pregnant, right, and they have to make some difficult decisions. So we have a program that's focused on women who are pregnant specifically, right, so we can help them in their situation, be able to provide prenatal care for them and then postnatal care as well once the children are born. Just in the past year, we've had 6 babies born into the village, right? And so again, it's what's out there and how can we be responsive to that?
How can San Diegans who might be hearing this interview and saying, I see them, I mean, it's hard not to, no matter what community you might live in, what can they do to help? And if they want to, be able to give to Father Joe's, where does that money go specifically?
The money goes directly to the services is what it comes down to. So you can visit our website. It's mine.neighbor.org, so my.neighbor.org, and there you can see first of all, programs, many programs, but also ways you can help. Volunteers, we love our volunteers. It's important that we get people not only serving meals with us in our dining rooms, we serve 1 million meals a year, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner in 2 dining rooms, but also there are other ways to be involved. We have 4 retail stores around the city, right? So you can donate lightly used articles. Donate. Just prior to coming here, someone contacted me. He has a boat. He wants to donate. Right? I love it because those we don't sell in the retail stores,
Sure.
but those we're able to auction off as well. We have auction houses. We're able to do that. Cars as well. So anything that you have that can be turned around either because we sell it or we auction it, or and turned it to the proceeds into services. Basically, everything goes to the bottom line, to helping people.
Well, hopefully by the time that you and I chat again, we will start to see a huge difference here in San Diego County.
We need to.
Absolutely. All right. Deacon Jim Vargas from Father Joe's Villages, we certainly appreciate your time. Thank you for what you're doing right here
I
in our
appreciate
community.
you having me. Thank you. God
Thank
bless.
you.